population has access to free and independent information. So imagine yourself, less than 1 in 6 persons on this world has access to press freedom, independent information, can inform his or herself about different things that are going on in the world.
Yeah. And this is World Freedom Press Day, so we don't only have this here in Holland.
No, it is happening in a number of locations. One of the things that I think is very interesting for all of you, the 3 May is always a moment when we present the Press Freedom Monitor worldwide.
Yeah.
Of course, in 2011, the most important positive gains were in the Arab world. And so there's a conference in Tunis today. And in this conference in Tunis, which is organized by UNESCO, someone received an award. He's been named Press Freedom Hero of the World. It's a series, they do it every year. And this year it went to Yevgeny Fatulayev from Azerbaijan.
Yevgeny Fatulayev.
Yeah, Fatulayev. Yes. Yeah, I had to struggle, but I'm practicing since 2 years.
I did it at once.
Yeah, but you are very good, of course.
Yeah.
But we're working since 2 years and trying to release the guy. He came free last year, and now to get this award, it shows that if you express your solidarity worldwide and you care about people in countries that you don't even really know where they are on the map, yeah, it matters to those people.
Yeah, because if you are cynical, you would say, why would we care about the freedom of press in other countries?
Well, you know, maybe because we tend to want to organize Eurovision song festivals in countries like Azerbaijan, or because we do football in the Ukraine. Or
I would say, why would we do things like the European Song Contest? So that's maybe a bad example, but...
Well, you say the interesting thing is that the European Song Contest is a festival of diversity in some ways.
Yeah.
And this is something that is badly needed, diversity, I mean, in Azerbaijan. So I hope that a lot of journalists take the effort when they visit and cover the European Song Festival, that they also cover about the appalling human rights situation there.
Yeah.
But there are other events. We actually support a press freedom event in Kosovo, which is, of course, a very tiny country where things are still very bad, despite the 90s and the bombing of Kosovo and its subsequent independence of Kosovo. The country is really struggling with itself. So there's a big press freedom event there tonight, which for the first time has Serbs and Albanians celebrating press freedom together. So I hope we get positive vibes from that as well.
Yeah.
And we have a press freedom event shortly coming up in Morocco.
So it's going well with these events?
Well, the events are always, you know, you see the importance, this is always something tricky. Why do you organize a Press Freedom Day? As if, you know, press freedom should be there all the year. But to highlight it once a year and to highlight some of the terrible things that are going on in countries that we don't hear about all the time, this is the opportunity that we have. So we try to reach out as much as possible, work with local people to try and highlight what is going on in the world.
Yeah. So what did you say in the beginning about the 15% again?
Well, 15% of the world population does not. 15% of the world population has access to independent news and a free media landscape, yeah, which means that 5 out of 6 world citizens do not.
Now, I think there was someone from Google here, wasn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Mark, where are you?
Mark?
Yeah.
So, because...
hello.
Hello, this is Mark from Google. Mark from Google. Do you think you contribute to people getting more access to information, or that you help sometimes blocking the information for people?
Well, I think if you look at the big picture, that we actually made a lot of information available for people around the globe. And I think if you compare the era before Google and then compare to what we have today, you see that large amounts of people around the globe have more access to information.
Because I was in China during the Olympics.
Okay, were you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Not for the Olympics. I was researching something about tangerines. But anyway, I was trying to get some information on Google and I couldn't.
No, but is that because of Google or because of China?
Or is it because of Google and China?
Maybe it's not the best marriage ever. You could say that, but in general, I think that we work very hard also together with Leon and his organization to make sure that there's actually more access to information for everybody around the globe. And yes, there are governments that are not very comfortable with the benefits of the internet, but we do make
What do you say to these countries?
Well, what we do is we have the transparency report. If you Google transparency report, you will find...
Can you Google that in China during the Olympics?
I'm not sure about that. I think we started with the transparency report 2 years ago. And what we do is we actually tell people where information is no longer freely accessible. So you, for instance, when the Libyan government tried to shut down the internet traffic, you could see that because we measure whether our services are being used. And what happens is that if governments try to shut down the internet traffic, we show it so the world can actually see that the government is trying to block access to information. And by doing that, journalists write about it and it's put on the agenda and the government feels the pressure to open up. And we do the same thing with, for instance, government requests per country. We give an overview of the government's requests that we receive from governments and the degree to which we comply with their request for information.
Okay, thank you, Mark from Google. Yeah. The topic of today is not Google, although we could have a whole seminar about Google, I think, but is Central America.
Yes.
Why?
We noted that in the last years, the numbers of journalists that are under threat in Mesoamerica, so Mexico and Central America, is ever increasing. You're looking at a really appalling number of journalists that are being killed in Mexico. We're talking about 60, 70 since 2010. You look at a country like Honduras, there are 20 journalists killed. We organized a meeting in March in El Salvador, and we gathered people, journalists from 5 countries who are under threat. And we asked them to share their stories with us and see what we could do. And we were really moved by the kind of stories that you heard from Lucia Escobar, and there are more stories that you can hear and take note of in the rest of the evening. And for me personally, I think my motivation, I mean, after all, we're trying to support people who are under threat.
Yeah.
So our influence is indirect. We help people with training, we help people sometimes with emergency aid. But the fact that while we were organizing that, 10 journalists came to me who were not even part of the meeting and said, look, I have a problem. I wrote a piece about the local mafia. Or I'm stationed in this country and I'm a local reporter and I write about women trafficking. Or I write about immigration and the connected corruption. And I need to escape the country because the drugs barons are after me. And you hear stories about people whose children are being at the schoolyard, they're being waited for by people who want to apprehend them. It is really moving because you can look away. I mean, for me, being in the Netherlands, we don't hear a lot about Central America anymore. 30 years ago, there were big civil wars there, and people could take note. There were Dutch correspondents there. Nowadays, we hear little about this piece of the world.
It's not in fashion anymore.
It is not in fashion anymore, and we don't know about it. But once you meet these people, once you meet people like Elia and you hear the stories, you cannot look away. And this, for me, is the major drive to kind of stage this here, even though I know that a lot of people are not very interested in Central America and consider it far away. And isn't that place where, things are better now and there's no open war, etc. And thank God for the cocaine they produce, and etc. So then it becomes really something you can look away from. But so we thought we need to bring these personal stories here, the stories that we don't hear anymore, and make people feel that we need to be in solidarity with those people.
Yes. We will hear one of these stories from Elia Baltasar. But first we will watch a little clip about press freedom in